Well, hello. Hi, Sabine. How are you doing?
Hi, Karolina. How are you? Great morning
Good.
today, isn't it? The sun's
I
shining. Not too
I know
bad.
it's almost spring, right?
Yes.
Well, thank you very much for agreeing to talk with me and being part of She Leads Company campaign, where we encourage more women into starting their own businesses. I'm happy to have you.
Thank you. I'm happy to talk to you. It's a great project, and I really love what you're doing. And I think many more women should start their own businesses. So thanks for
Fingers
inviting
crossed.
me.
Okay, great. So tell us a little bit about your business and your journey from full-time employment to running your own company.
Okay, so my company is like a boutique communications consultancy for ethical businesses or anyone who sells something, a product or a service that's somehow designed to make the world a better place. And we help companies communicate with their customers in any language. We do that through writing, training, developing strategy, that kind of thing. And my journey here was quite interesting because I started as a teacher, and I worked in the civil service system in Germany, and I would never have thought of starting my own job way back then. But over time, when I came to the UK about 7 years ago, out of love, both for the country and for my partner, and I joined the corporate world. Quite unexpectedly, really, because I was looking for a job as a teacher, but it didn't quite work out with my time plan, so I needed something in between. And I joined Lego, where I worked in customer service, and I really enjoyed it. So I stayed and made my way up through the ranks, and took on an editorial role for global customer communication. And after a few years, I went agency side and did a similar job for big corporations here all over the UK. And I really enjoyed the work I was doing. But there was this little voice inside of me that said, I wish I could pick my customers myself, or I wish I could set my own hours, or I wish I could decide how we're going to do that project in more detail. And there were always some people around me who said, you should just start your own business. And I was too scared, so I never really thought about it. But one of my acquaintances at the time is a certified coach, and she is award-winning and absolutely brilliant. And we worked together when I was looking for a new job, or I wasn't quite sure, I wasn't happy in my career. We were looking together at what I might be doing. And she helped me overcome all of my worries and my fears and anxieties around being my own boss. Because of course there's a lot of insecurity, there's no secure paycheck month to month, you have to look at tax, all of those things. And without her, I don't think I would have been able to do it.
That's
So
fantastic.
in a nutshell, I'm pretty much doing what I've always been doing, just slightly different, because I can decide how I want to do the work.
Wow, that's very inspiring. That's a fantastic story. I'm really happy that you made it to the
Oh,
other
thank
side. Yes. Yes. But then tell us, was it always smooth and easy, or did you face any challenges? And if so, how did you overcame them?
Okay, so I think anybody who says running your own business is always smooth and easy, they're lying. I'm just going to be that honest with you. I think it's not true. But it's getting the balance right. There's always going to be, whether you're employed or not. So whether you're in full-time employment or you're your own boss, there's always going to be times when things are a bit tough. I've had it in any job, whether teaching or in a big corporate office or as part of a small team. And I would say overall, I'm much happier now, because when there's a challenge, I can find ways to overcome them that fits with my values and how I want to do things. And I don't have to ask anyone for permission. I will ask people for advice, but I don't have to ask for permission, which is great. Um, and yes, well, how do I, in the beginning, I think most of my challenges were things that I didn't know. I didn't have a marketing job, so I knew very little about marketing, for example, or my job didn't entail selling to customers or clients. So I had no experience with that. And the most important thing for me was to find other people who had the experience and ask them for advice and have a network of people who could support me. And also finding people who are experts. Like, I'm an expert at something, but not everything, of course. So coming together with others who can help me and I can help them in return, because at the beginning you maybe don't have the confidence or the funds to pay somebody extortionate amounts of money to do something for you, but you can swap expertise, and that was really helpful.
Great. That is a really good advice. I think grow your network and find people. Don't do everything yourself, right? Try to find people that can help you.
Absolutely, yes.
Yes. Okay. And so you said you didn't have the sales or marketing experience in the beginning, but obviously every newbie entrepreneur has to learn those skills. So tell us a little bit, how do you now find your clients? How did you find your first client? And how does that evolve maybe over time?
Okay, so my first client came from my existing network. Even when I left my previous employer, I told them I'm going to go freelance, and that was kind of the plan. I'm going to just be a freelancer, and whoever needs somebody who's got my skills, I'm going to work with them. And so my previous employer was actually my first client, which was a very nice cushion to leave on.
Yeah.
And also meant that the relationship was still very good, even though I left. And I admit that was really important to me. And then what I also did was I wrote to everybody that was in my personal address book. So all of my friends, all of my family, all of my neighbors, my cat sitter, anyone, right? And I told them, wow, I've done it, this is my new business and this is what I do. And do you know anybody who might be interested in this kind of thing? Do you know somebody who needs a translator, or, who maybe works at a company that might be interested? And that's how I got my first gigs, because these are people who've already got a relationship with me and they trust me at some level, and it was easier for them to take the leap, because nobody knew me outside of the people who already were part of my life. And from there on, it was much easier to grow.
And how do you approach your clients now? Is it
So it depends. I'm it's like a dual strategy. One of them is just turning up basically in their social media news feed, or a lot of outbound, actually inbound marketing, where I'm presenting some kind of content and people then find me. Another thing I do is going to events that are relevant, where the kind of people are hanging out or looking to learn something that I'm trying to get in touch with. But I think two of the most important things for me is keeping in touch with people I've met along the way. So really following up, I think, is the main thing. Don't be discouraged. And also, when you meet somebody, you'd be surprised how few people actually send an email the next day or pick up the phone the next day and say, it was great meeting you, how can we work together? Or even just without talking about work at all, just showing you appreciate the connection. That's something that very few people do. And the other thing is finding networks online where people come together to talk about a specific topic or to help each other out, and just being of service without asking for anything in return. That's been quite helpful to me too.
Wow, that's excellent advice. Thank you very much for sharing that. I totally agree with that. So just offering good advice and be going out there and respecting the relationship with relationships with others, right? That's absolutely great. The last question is, in your journey, how did the environment you were in, how did that help you in building your business? You mentioned a coach, but also were there any other elements in your network, whether it was the country or whether it was your family or other things that helped you and encouraged you to become an entrepreneur?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's a few things. For one thing, I'll say, if I hadn't been here in the UK, I don't think I would have done it. Because the UK has a kind of go-getter mentality. Sometimes it's called a nation of shopkeepers. So small business or starting out as a business is a completely normal thing here. And it's quite easy. There's not a lot involved, really. You don't have to have a lot of money. You don't have to have any legal knowledge. There's advisors for everything, and it's very easy to get going. So that's definitely helpful. But I've also been able to talk to friends who were running similar businesses, and that's coming from networks that I built years ago without ever knowing that I was going to join the ranks of those kind of small businesses. And knowing those people has really helped me. So I would, in terms of advice, I would just really tell anybody who's thinking about starting their own business to appreciate every single person who's taking risks in their existing circle of friends or acquaintances, because from your hairstylist to the person where you buy your cinnamon buns in the morning, they've all got stories to tell about how they dealt with tricky questions or how they started out. And it's just so good to exchange those ideas, and it will draw you closer together with people, and you can learn so much from that. So look in the unexpected places, even if it's a different industry. And who knows, you might end up working together, doing something creative that maybe nobody's ever thought about.
Perfect. And so you mentioned an advice. What advice would you give yourself if you had to do it all over again, or another woman who's thinking about starting a business and yeah, she needs maybe some inspiration to do it?
Okay. I think my advice would be around marketing, because that was such a new topic to me in terms of the lingo. There's so much talk about funnels and segmentation and all of those things. And some things were, some things I knew about from work, but not everything. And it was just all a bit of a mystery to me. And so I went looking out on the internet for advice and tips and tricks and stuff. And I would recommend, if you can afford it, get somebody to help you with your marketing, somebody who knows about strategy, because everything that's out there, the stuff that people give away for free, that's just tactics. That's how to execute the little bits that should be somewhere in your strategy. But if you try to do all of that, you'll burn yourself out. It's impossible. And so you need somebody to create a good strategy for you, so you know what you need to do and what you can let go of, what you don't have to do, without feeling guilty. Because if you set out thinking you can be on Instagram and Facebook and Twitter and LinkedIn and Snapchat and all of those different things, and write a blog and do a podcast and do this and do that, it's just not going to work. You need somebody who comes up with a strategy and translate everything you do into how is that going to attract business for you, and how is that going to help you reach your financial goals. And I found that many people who claim to be great at marketing are great at the tactics, how to execute the little steps. But some people are really good at strategy, the bigger picture. And if I had advice for myself, I would say, invest money into the strategy early on, get somebody to help you with that. There's absolutely nothing wrong with getting help very early on. It's actually well invested time and money. So that's my number one piece of advice.
Excellent. Thank you very much for that. I totally agree. It's difficult when you start, it might be a little bit overwhelming as you have to learn all those skills. And obviously you're on a tight budget and you want to save money, but a good invested money, it's good to have a strategy and someone to just hold your hand a little bit in the beginning and show you the way.
And there's a lot of online courses out there which cost thousands of pounds and which only cover a small portion of what you need in order to come up with a strategy. So if you ever consider taking a course like that, then take a course that's strategic. You'll always be able to learn about how to execute a little thing, like how to make a great Instagram post or how to write a great blog post. That's easy. The biggest thing that you need is the strategy. And once you've got that, if you're going to invest, I would recommend invest into that. Yeah.
Great. Wow. Thank you. That's amazing advice. Thank you very much. Where can we learn more about your business, and where can we find you if we want to talk with you directly?
Well, thanks for asking. So my website is at www.from-scratch.net. And you can also find us on Twitter at scratch_posts, and on Facebook at support from scratch, one word.
Excellent.
Yeah, or find me on LinkedIn under my name, Sabine Harnau. I'd be happy to connect and share what I know.
Excellent. Thank you so much.
Thank you.